My name
I
is
did.
Yvette LaFleur, founder of Healing with Yvette, and I am here with Sarah Sparks. And Sarah, I'm so excited to introduce you to everybody, have this conversation with you because Sarah is an international selling author, Amazon #1 in the world of spiritual growth with her book, 144 Wealth Codes to Unlock Abundance Within. She is also host of a podcast called Floating on a Cloud, and that is in the 10% globally ranked. Hello. I think your podcast was the first one I was a guest on, and it was a learning experience for me. It's a learning curve. So
You did wonderful.
thank you.
It's just like this. We're having a conversation and we're sharing our wisdom,
Yes. Yes. So Sarah's colleagues say that she is, and you're going to see that yourself today, a beacon of love and spiritual insight. And what she's going to be teaching us today and talking with us about today, the 5 steps to listen to divine guidance, she has herself been teaching and working for over 12 years. So we're going to talk about connecting to divine. We're going to have that conversation. We both have our experience with it, and we hope to share some ideas with you that will make a difference in your life. So Sarah, thank you for being with us today.
I'm so grateful that you offered this opportunity to me. I love sharing. I love connecting. So thank you.
So I thought it would be fun to start off and ask, when did you know that you had spiritual connection? At what point?
I was around 3 years old. I was sitting in the sandbox and a little boy threw sand in my eyes. And I remember being like, oh, like I felt like I couldn't open my eyes. And I heard a voice, and my parents, like no adults were around. And I was like, it's okay. It's okay. Like he didn't mean to. It's okay. You're gonna be okay. And I was like, what did that come from? And I couldn't open my eyes. So I heard. And then I would sit on the swings. My sisters are 15 to 21 years older than me. I share that because I spent a lot of time alone in my childhood. And so I would be swinging on the swing set on my parents' farm, and I would have conversations with God. Like I would be, it felt like I was just sitting in someone's lap having a conversation. I was raised in a Catholic church, and I remember kneeling and the pew would be like at my nose. So I was really small. So I don't know how old I was. But I would look at the altar and I felt it. I didn't necessarily have a connection to the cross because I didn't really understand it that young. But again, it felt like I was having a conversation with God, and I would be like, how's your day, or how are you feeling, or how you doing, God? Like, are things a little overwhelming for you? I remember asking God this. I don't know. And I would get answers back, or like I don't know. That's just my memory of things. But then it was around 18 years old. I felt very overwhelmed by all the decisions that life was throwing at me. I would be graduating high school, and I didn't know which direction to go in my life. I feel like all of us do that at some point in our lives. And whether it be 18 years old or maybe multiple times in our lives, sometimes people have that when they get married or divorced or have children, or a spouse passes away, or people near them, like any sort of major life changes. It's like, oh man, who am I now? And so I was asking that when I was 18, and I remember not really knowing that I could pray and ask divine. I say divine now. At the time I said God. And I something people who are listening who may not know me, I work with people from all over the world, all different faiths, cultures, beliefs. And so some people refer to it as higher self, divine source, creator, omnipresence. I think I said higher self, universe. And some people say God and Jesus. Like it all depends on what they want to refer to. I don't know. I lost track. So anyways, I sidebarred too far with that one, but I just had a conversation with Devine one night before I fell asleep, and was like, hey, I don't know what direction I'm supposed to go in my life. Could you just tell me? I'm like, and it wasn't any sort of formal prayer. I was like, that would be stellar. I don't know what I'm doing. And I had a dream that night, and the dream happened once a week for an entire year. And then the dream stopped. And I didn't believe that it was that simple. Like I didn't realize that I could just allow God, divine in. I didn't realize that I could ask a question, receive it immediately. I sure as heck didn't trust that. And I didn't act on it. Like I got a very clear picture of what I was supposed to do, but I didn't act on it. So what I just shared with you are the 5 steps to listen to divine guidance, but I'll go into them differently. But I didn't know all that at the time. So I just sent up a prayer, received it immediately in the dream. That night, the dream continued. It was like instilled in my memory. And then that dream became my reality and it was true. It happened in real life 10 years later. So yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question, and if it takes us out of the line of the steps, well, I know that we'll get
no, you're fine.
Back. Because I think, when I was on your podcast, one of the things I spoke about was animal messages. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's how I receive divine message. It's animals show up. This morning I was in the middle of doing some writing about something that will be published 6-7 months down the line. And all of a sudden I hear this cooing, and I turn around and there's doves sitting on my windowsill outside my 2nd story office. And I was like, well, thank you. Like this confirmation, just that simple. I want to talk to that simplicity of it.
Yeah.
It does not have to be difficult.
No. And humans in general, not a specific sex or race or whatever. I mean, we as humans think it has to be so difficult in receiving divine guidance, or like, oh, we have to do this exercise and we have to meditate, and then there's this decryption of the coding and it literally could be doves showing up on the thing.
Right.
But then there's also animal books that are like, okay, what does it mean? What does it spiritually mean? My daughter, my oldest one, she kind of gives me a hard time. She's like, oh, Mom, did you look up spiritual meaning of 888, spiritual meaning of the dove, spiritual meaning of and because I do that. And I'm like, thank you for knowing me that well, love.
One day, you too.
So yeah, it could be that simple. And we all receive differently. That was one of the things that you and I talked about and that's why I wanted you on. And that's why there's over 150 different guests on the podcast, is that I want people who are interested in having a divine connection and exploring that divine connection to know that they can receive in multiple ways, or they have their own way of receiving. That's part of, so allow, ask, receive, trust, and act. Those are the 5 steps. And receiving, we all receive differently. I remember, I've worked with thousands of people, but this one particular gentleman was saying to me, he's a musician, and he was attempting to receive words and note and the instrumental part of a new song. And he was like, I tried to look for the signs, Sarah. I'm not finding the signs of what I'm supposed to write about. And I was like, dude, we've covered this. You receive, because it's part of when someone works with me, we figure this out. And he's like, and I'm like, you receive audibly. You can just journal, you can ask divine questions and receive. And so are you asking questions and receiving them audibly? It's literally like God's talking to you. And he refers to divine as God. And he's like, so I'm not supposed to be looking for signs. No, that's what you receive. A big old neon sign is not going to come up and be like, right about letting go. No, it's gonna be talking to you. And then that week after we had our session, he's like, and I was like, no, but we all receive differently, you know, and and sometimes people are like watching me when I do my live channelings and they're like, I want to channel like you. I was like, well, that's cool, but are you even supposed to channel? And what does that mean for you? And do you receive in your own unique way? So we all have our own unique connection.
I remember when I was learning Reiki and started practicing and having clients and feeling like I wasn't doing it right because I didn't do it exactly as my teacher did. And I had to cross that bridge and realize you don't have to do any of the world of energy the way somebody else does, because it's about connecting to your intuition and your connection and your abilities to be able to do what you do and receive what you receive, however you receive it.
Yeah, for sure. And some people just have a knowing. That's how my husband is. And then there's others who have a feeling. They're more empathic with things. And mine, do you mind if I go into do you have like other questions that you were going to? I could bird walk for just a second and talk about how like my progression of my like connection has
wherever you go with it.
Okay. So
sometimes
people like jump in on someone's journey, like my own or yours, after we've been doing this for years and are like, well, I can't do that. And they're just starting. And I'm like, oh, hold it, sister. You know, let's go back. And I was just curious. So I always recommend and just suggest to people have some sort of wonderment, some curiosity about, ooh, I feel like I have this gift. I feel like I have this connection, or something's always been like, Devine would tell me, Sarah, you're meant for more. And I'm like, what does that mean? You know, but I figured if something was telling me that I was meant for more, I wanted to figure it out. And I'm just naturally curious, you know, like I got married. My first marriage was to somebody that I didn't love. So when I got divorced, and I knew that, like I knew getting into it. So when I got divorced, I wanted to figure out, why did I marry someone that I did not love? Like, what was going on with me? What were my beliefs, my thoughts, my emotions? Not so much like, let's dive into his, but he can have his own. And so I just say that because I'm naturally curious. Some of us aren't. And so I wanted to understand how I connect with Devine. And so I went for an intuitive walk, is what I called it. And I lived on Isla Capri on Treasure Island near the Gulf of Mexico. I say all that because there's a lot of like waterway and channels that you would have to either take a right or left or go straight. There was a lot of dead ends. And so I would go and I'm like, all right, I don't know much. And then I didn't know Reiki. I think this technique is like a Donna Eden thing, but I didn't even know who Donna Eden was. This is all just me trying to figure this out. So I was like, all right, if you want me to go right or left, like whatever direction you want me to go, and it's a yes, pull me forward. If it's a no, pull me back. And so I gave that direction, and I just would get to the end of a street and I would be like, do you want me to go right? And it was like, no. And I was like, oh, you want me to go left? Yes. And so I just did that to each intersection until I got down to the Gulf of Mexico, and I was literally standing at the water's edge, and I made a joke and I was like, well, not Jesus, not going to walk on water. Ha ha ha. You know, and I heard, head north. I'll tell you when to stop. And I was like, oh yeah, I can hear, because I completely forgot, because it's been years since I tuned into this. And so I was like, oh, that's right. When I was young, I could hear, like, oh yeah. And so I just started walking, and I headed north along the shore, and then I got to like a boardwalk way, and I heard stop, like abruptly stop, and I was like, okay. And then I was like, why am I stopping? Like, what's going on? And I heard, this is where you'll marry Craig. And I looked over and I was like, okay. Noted. I was not engaged to this man. I had just moved from Iowa down to Florida to start a new life with him. There was no talk of marriage. There was no, like, nothing. So that was like 2010. So fast, let's say July, August of 2010. Fast forward to September of 2011 when he asked me to marry him. And I was like, I know where we're going to get married. And he's like, are you serious? And I was like, well, and I was also at the mall a couple weeks ago, and I may have gotten a wedding dress. Oh my God, Sarah. And I'm like, I'm rack, and it's like 80 some percent off. And Devine says, you need this. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll go on a cruise. Not knowing that I was going to get married. And so I had the dress and I had the location, and boom, there we go. So there's always a reason why Divine's leading you. You just have to ask, oh, what's going on? What's happening?
I like that suggestion or direction to be curious, be inquisitive, to ask and wonder, be in wonderment.
Yeah.
Because that's the eyes, that's the hands open to receive when you're in wonderment.
And I did it for myself first. I've noticed when I share this information with people, sometimes it's they're wanting to do this as a profession, or they want to channel for others. And I was like, I'm not going to put myself into that position, screwing up someone else's life until I know that my connection is pure. So it has been my goal and intention to be the clearest healed channel that has ever walked this earth. I don't know if I ever will be that, but that's been my intention, because I want to be able to give information to people that is pure and good. And I'm set the intention, even before I allow myself to connect with Divine, that I only connect to love and light and goodness. And I'm not the type of spiritual person that, or my gifts, I don't allow myself to like go into spaces that I have to, clear out negative energy, and I just don't like, that's not what I want to experience with my gifts. So that's something else that other people can choose what they want to experience and how they want to. And
yeah. And that's again, we were talking about paths people choose, and it's so wise to always, I think, choose love and light. Why play with that which is not love and light?
No, I don't want to at all. But other people may have
the abilities.
May have the ability, or they're able to, let's say, some sort of ghost, or they don't like being called ghost, but some sort of entity is in a house or in someone's body that they have the ability to release it. Cool, stellar. We all have different abilities and stuff. That's for somebody else. But for me, so knowing, okay, how do I want to use this gift? What is my intentions with this gift? What is best for me, those around me, everyone's highest good? And just asking yourself those things. And then also other people that this happened with my husband and I, and this was like my first conversation with this. And then it's been extended out into my business. Craig got hurt in a motorcycle accident years ago. And it was right when I was starting my business in 2012, and he was having his own spiritual awakening. And so he broke his collarbone, which he felt like he was breaking a wing, and that he was just getting. And he was like, dang it, like, why is it that, like, you don't have to learn lessons this way, but I am learning it through this pain and this suffering. And I said, because I choose not to. And I didn't, sometimes I can be really direct, and I don't mean to be direct. Like sometimes, like, I say the most obvious answer and it really hurts people, because I'm like, well, then just don't do that. Like, and I don't mean it. It's just like, to me, it's the most obvious thing. And so I'm like, because I don't want to experience that. Like and so people have asked, well, then how do you tell Devine, like, how you want to, receive things? And I was like, I have conversations with Devine. Like there was one time that I was about ready to take off from my driveway, And Devine says, you're going to get into an accident. I said, no. And so I pulled over right down from the street. I pulled over and I was like, hey, we're going to have a conversation. So I'm not getting into an accident. I'm not having this experience. I'm not going through all the insurance and changing out my car. I really like this car. I was like, if you have something to tell me, and if you have a lesson for me to learn right now, we're going to have a conversation. Divine's like, oh, okay, well then let's rearrange this. I'm like, if it's something to do with that, the other half, they need to learn it some way. I'm not going to have an accident for this awareness to happen. No. And Divine's like, all right. And I, honestly, right at this moment, I can't remember even like the messaging, but it could have been as simple as, oh, I have the power in this human suit to say, no, I don't want to experience that. Then there's other things that I do want to experience. And some people are like, you can just have conversations. Yes. And that's how I choose to learn my lessons. And sometimes those conversations come in forms of like this. Well, I was like, I'll be on a call with somebody, a connection call. We have lots of connection calls as coaches, getting to know others, and somebody will say something and I'm like, oh, noted. Or I was channeling the other day for my own personal group in the Unlocking the Abundance. And I think I may have said this to you. I don't know. But I was channeling for someone, and then Devine comes in and says, hey, your program needs to be complete by the end of April. That's something that I'm creating now, of listening to divine guidance. And I was like, oh, okay. So I just noted it, just a conversation. Okay, cool. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be difficult.
It doesn't have to be difficult. And I like that you are pointing out that there are multiple ways to learn a lesson. And so we can ask or direct that I choose not to learn this lesson physically, another way. Or the one of the things that I teach around connection is, please help me receive the message in a way that I can receive it, versus help me hear when you're not, auditory.
Yeah.
It's help me receive the message in the way that I receive it, or deliver the message in the way I can.
In the most ease, enjoyable way possible.
Yes.
We do not have to. I have walked out of events and presentations when people get on a roll of, we must suffer.
Yes.
I'm like, nope, no bueno, see ya, bye. And I don't speak Spanish, but that's just what I say. And like, I'm just like, I just get up and walk out. I'm like, I'm not participating in this. I'm just not. So bless all those who want to receive that way. I'm not participating in it. So.
I've been racking my brain because I knew there was a saying that had to do with exercise. It's the no pain, no gain.
Oh yeah.
No, you don't have to have the pain to gain the connection. So can we go back to your 5 steps? Let's go through those 5 steps let's have some clarity around those for those who are listening. And then we'll close out with any other last thoughts.
All right. Yeah, sure. So first step, so y'all can write this down if you want. Number 1, allow. Number 2, ask. 3, receive. 4, trust. 5, act. So allow, ask, receive, trust, and act. And yes, it's just that simple. And if someone wants to sign up, like I have like a free offering for that, I can happy to share. But in the email sequence that follows that free offering, I'm like, keep it simple, people. It's not complicated. And I've had people be like, having to go, like they take a course in how to listen to their divine guidance, or they want to work with me, and it's wonderful. It's what I do. But they may be like, Sarah, this is just too simple. They get upset. And then I'm like, okay, well, you do you. However, I just let them have their own experience. And then they come back to me a couple of years later. I've been on quite a journey. I've gotten all these certifications. I've taken all these courses, and I don't want to name all of that stuff because I don't want to insult anything, but they list all the things that they've learned and dove into all of their teachings and all the things about themselves. And they're like, if I would have just followed the 5 steps, it would have been a whole lot easier. And somebody was on just a connection call with me, and I gave her the 5 steps and my little notes on it, and she applied it immediately and got 6-figure contracts. And so I'm like, hey, it works. So following it in that order, Devine has made it clear to me that we must allow first, and then allowing, honestly, allowing yourself to be your best self, allowing good, prosperity, abundance, happiness, healing in. What are you allowing in? What are you saying yes to? Who are you allowing in to your life? What are you allowing in? Allowing divine guidance in, and allowing others to be whomever they're choosing to be.
Yes.
So often that gets us stuck. There is a quote that's completely transformed my own healing is, and I've expanded on it, but it's around, when we get bit by a snake, are we going to go after the snake? Which was in my today's message from Devine. I believe it was today. I had a typo at the end, I noticed. but it was around the snake. And so, like, if you get bit by a snake, are you going to go after the snake, or are you going to heal the wound, the bite wound? And that little quote that I saw probably on an Instagram reel or something, I dove into that because it resonated so quickly with me that I was like, wow, am I allowing others to show up however they're choosing to show up? Or am I going after the snakes and trying to find out why they bit? What were they trying to do? Who were they protecting? How long have they been wanting to bite me? All these things. And I mean, I know it's not nice to call people snakes, but you kind of get the analogy with that. And then have I been allowing myself to heal? Have I been allowing myself to heal from those quote unquote wounds, those bite wounds? And did I even recognize that I had a bite wound? So right. Yes, allow is like very like, oh, allow goodness in, allow yourself. It's more than just allow, but Devine, when I was asked, I was being judgy with how the 5 steps even came in. Was I was sitting on the front step of a goal setting workshop at a church down in Florida. A client had asked me to go with her, and so I did. And the pastor had said, connect with Jesus to get your goals. Good luck. And like thousands of people dispersed because it was a very large church. And I wasn't attending there, but I knew what the pastor was referring to. I just said divine guidance. So I was like, all right, cool. I'll just go out front and start listening to Devine and asking some questions. Well, I noticed everybody else was like making really weird faces and scrunching up their face, like, in case you're not seeing my facial expression, I'm just going to just describe it, and you're listening to this, and it's just like, oh, why do we need to do that, and how would I do that, and what's Jesus got to do it, like that sort of thing. So I sat on the front step, and I was like, why are they having such a hard time? And like, I noticed the people who were sitting for a little bit further down, they were like, what do we do with this? And how do we do this? So I just asked Devine at that time, I was like, what are the steps to listen? And Devine's like, well, you're judging them because it's really easy for you. It's not so easy for everybody. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't need to judge them then. And I said, well, am I to help them in some sort of way? And Devine's like, yes. And I was like, how can I help them? And Devine's like, 5 steps. And I was like, all right, well, what are those 5 steps? Immediately, allow, ask, receive, trust, and act. And I was like, okay, cool. And I immediately got it. I just was like, all right, cool, I'll do it because I do it. But then as I started teaching it, I mean, it was my clients who brought about the program because they had so many questions around each of them. So I've expanded on the allow, just like I did, and I explained it. There's multiple things. So, and then the ask portion is, I mean, do you even asking yourself, I'm sure you do, but asking, if you're listening to this, asking yourself, do I know that I can ask divine source, creator, spirit, the universe, divine, anything? Or, then I go through why we ask, why we don't ask, what happens when we do ask, which I won't get in here because it's all part of the course. But then, like, what are the questions to ask? And I have a whole polarities in the question. A lot of times people come to me and it's like, I just want clarity. Are you asking the right questions? Because a lot of times people come to me with the same question. Devine, share anything you want to share with me. Did you know that it's partly cloudy today? What do you want to share? Did you know that you can smile? Like there's multiple things that Devine would share, but then like, like, what is it that you really want to know? And how do you want to move forward? And what are the questions that would bring you the most clarity? Sometimes the most obvious questions bring us the most clarity. Sometimes, I cannot remember. It was just recently, I was on a call and someone was like, well, I'm just going to sell, like they wanted to sell something. I don't know what, I can't remember. It was relating to their business. And I was like, have you asked, how do I sell this? Or where do I go? Or who wants to buy this? Like, and they're like, oh no, I didn't know I could do that. So I'm just telling you now, like, yes, you can ask Devine anything. Like it's anything. I was gonna wear a white shirt today, and Devine's like, no, you should wear that one. You know, you can ask him anything. So
when you were talking about clarity, I just want to share the visual I got was like the game of 52 card pickup, like just being sprayed at you. Like, no, clarity, similar to what you said when you were talking with Craig about the collarbone, is you were like, because I don't want that. Like, boom, clarity.
Yeah. He's like, well, wait, you mean we can learn lessons in other ways? And like he had no idea.
Right.
His world and what he observed growing up was you had to suffer for the cause. And many of us have. Like, I mean, it's multiple ways. I mean, I don't want to insult anything, but I was experiencing things this weekend that I was like, oh, I was sitting somewhere and I was like, that was instilled in me in certain teachings. And based on what I was like, that's exactly what I'm trying to release now. Like, I was like, wow. So,
well, we have a societal, base of having to work hard.
mm-hmm.
That is a conversation that our country was built upon.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a collective consciousness that
mm-hmm.
we have to break from to have it be easy.
Yeah. And the entire energy of the earth has changed and shifted to divine, which is not a masculine energy of work, do, but divine is be. And in order to be, we must be healed. And that sometimes is a really hard process. And the earth is healing and the energy is healing and we are healing and giving ourselves grace while we do that.
Yeah. We could go on for hours.
I know. I just took us to a whole nother topic. So I'm sorry about that. So then it's the ask, and then receive. So knowing how we receive. A really good activity is just observing yourself receiving. Like, how do you receive love? Are you open to receiving love? If someone gives you a compliment, if I observed myself, if someone's giving you a compliment, are you like, oh yeah, I mean, it's fine. I just got this at Target for $19.99, which I would definitely say. Like, people, I got this awesome outfit where it like wrapped around me wherever I went. People are like, oh my God, I love your outfit. I would be like, I got it online. It was only $20. Like, just take the compliment, Sarah. Right. Holy balls. And so I had to learn, like, how am I receiving in the simplest form? If my husband comes up and wants to nibble my neck, am I instantly like, or am I like, all right, he's wanting to show me love, or am I receiving this love? Just, I know that, but then that physical, that human love of words, actions, deeds, all the 5 love languages can also correlate into divine love. Then divine love, that pure love, can trickle down into soul's calling, purpose, abundance, wealth, health, so forth and so on. So how are we receiving, just in the simplest form? But then how do we receive divine guidance, which is usually why people want to come to me. But if you're not open to receiving a compliment, probably not open to receiving your soul's calling and next steps along your journey, because a lot of people are like, I want to know, what job should I do in my future? And am I on the right path? I'm being dramatic, but you get the gist. And so, if we're not even open to receiving something like someone gives us an orange, oh, I'm fine. Well, then are you open to receiving that $1 million that you're asking for? Well, I don't know. So just play a little game with yourself and just have an awareness.
I think that's a really good practice for people to take on, is to be observant of how willing they are to receive the
And
pain that shows up on the asphalt, when they get out of traffic.
oh yeah, and I received something huge a couple years ago, and I hit my upper limit. So then I started having all these believies try to stop me, and it did. It stopped me from receiving in multiple areas. And I hit my threshold of receiving, so therefore shit must happen. And I hope that's okay that I just said that. But like I don't know if we're able to swear or not, but I did. And I mean, I share that too, because sometimes there's a misconception around, Sarah listens all the time and she's always connected, so she must be perfect at this. No, I suck sometimes, and I hit my own limits, and then I have to do some more work and up level and open my channels of receiving again. So then it's just trust. So trust, and I make sure, and trust is I just want to say this because this helps people so much. There is a difference between divine unconditional love and trust and human trust. A lot of times we based our trust on based on experiences where people have failed us. And divine trust is different. And and then it's more about trusting ourselves and learning to trust ourselves and trust that what we're receiving. So there is a process in that, and there's usually some healing that takes around trust. I myself am a very trusting person, and that's usually sometimes a fault, is I just trust immediately. So I needed to learn to ask more questions. And then act is the faster that you act on the information being given to you, then the universe is like, oh, she or he or they want more of this. Okay, thank you, more please, thank you, more please. So if it's like, hey, go make the bed. If you like whatever, something that helps people often is asking what's next. If people really want to stay aligned, asking what's next, and then do whatever is next, and it'll keep you in aligned. And what I mean by that is I was launching a group program, and I was moving and had a lot going on. And so I just kept asking what's next. It would be like, go pack a box, help your child, talk with Craig, do laundry, make a post, sell the program, do a live, reach out to this person. They want to be in it. Cool. Like it was just what's next? I just kept asking what's next, go get ready, whatever. And the program sold out, and it was the biggest sale I've ever had. So like we always focus on like, we have to have this thing at the end. But if we just focus on who we're being and what we're doing by asking what's next, we will always have what it is that we want. That's it. And for the people who are still on, which I see a few of you, congratulations, you're doing great.
So, two things. You mentioned that you have a freebie around the 5 steps. How do people get that?
I can send the link. If you want me to just post the link here, I can just do that.
But if people are watching this at a later date,
it's
go to your website.
Yes, you can go to my website, which is sarahsparks.love. Sarahsparks.love. There's a freebie there. I have multiple freebies, and there's like free resources on my website. There's free resources. Just go to that link. Okay. So,
and then I also want your messages from Devine. I've been loving getting them on a daily basis. So how do people sign up for those?
Those are actually on my homepage of my website. There's a pop-up, and it comes up right away. You just sign up for them, and I channel them daily from Devine and send them out on my email. And it's been cool. Like, one of my main goals and intentions, not just with the email, but in my life existence, is to see people connecting and having their own relationship with Devine. And these messages are doing it. Like, I'm like, this is stuff. I love it. They're feeling a deeper connection, and people who don't ever have that opportunity to take the time to feel or even hear what Devine is, just the words that are coming through. They're like, I can start hearing on a daily basis what that feels like for me. And then I can use that in my own practice. And I was like, yes, awesome. So, and they're free. So
They are, and they're very, very good. And what I like about them is the simplicity. So, if you're somebody who is on a bazillion mailing lists, okay, because most of us are, this one takes such little time, and it's like this pop of power in a few sentences. Highly recommend that you sign up for it.
Cool. Awesome. That's my goal. I don't like to take a lot of time. I always just ask Devine, the people who need to hear this message, what do they need to hear? Put it in the most concise, simplest form. And it's usually just like, sometimes there's like my word count is up on my email. It's like 20 and then includes the signature. So I'm like, stellar.
Anything else you'd like to share or say before we finish?
Listening to my own divine guidance brought me out of depression. It has completely changed my life. It continues to change my life. So if you are looking for clarity, ease, joy, happiness, you just want a sense of peace, listen to your divine guidance, learn how to do it. And there'll be a course coming out at the end of April. So
how exciting.
Exciting. Thank you.
And, I would like to invite, if I may, those who are not familiar with me to come on over to Healing with Yvette, my Facebook page, and get to know me a little bit better. I channel on Fridays and give messages from Devine, send out energy healing. So lots of different ways to connect with Sarah, with me. We thank you for watching and spending time with us today, because we know that if you were here, you were meant to hear what was said. So thank you.
Thank you so much. It's so great to get to know you.